Well, I guess it's good to see you all. It's kind of been a strange couple of years, but sure is great to be back. And it brings me to a point when I didn't have my mask. I'd like to say a few things first, and then I'll get into the basketball. And I'd like to start by including all the Spartans that are watching these shows. I don't care, you know, I've been through a lot of different things in my life, and you live in the UP, you're not as able to, things get there a little bit later, but I am encouraging, pleading, and begging people to get vaccinated. You know, when we have political groups, we have racial groups, we have this, we have that. I think I was convinced of everything when Clinton, Bush, and Obama all got their shots. It talks about so many different diverse groups and different political parties, and those people should have the best medical care known to man. And I think it's so important because I don't think it's only about ourselves. I think it's about the person next to you, and that kind of has hit me hard as I look at how we get back on track, not only as a country, but here at Michigan State. And I think one thing is I look at learning, I look at emotions, I listen to why you guys never want locker rooms closed. My locker room's never been closed since the day I got here. It'll never be closed till the day I'm done. And the reason is because I listen to you and you telling me about learning the emotion, seeing the emotion, and seeing how a kid reacts. And sometimes it's not good, sometimes it is good, but it's real. And I think you can learn answers from textbooks or virtual classrooms. The students are missing out on the flow, their exchange of ideas, they're learning in person. I'm sick of Zoom. And I'd like to thank the number of our professors that are actually holding classes. I'd like to plead with the number of some of our professors that aren't. I know this is controversial and everything else, but I got kids that have never been in a classroom since they come to college. I think that's sad. I don't think it's right. And I think part of the problem is because we won't all get vaccinated, we're not helping each other. So it's not just about vaccination for me to stay safe, it's the people next to me to help me stay safe. So to the professors that are holding classes, God, I triple thank you. I've been working since last June, never missed a day, a year ago June. And I think that's important for these kids. I think, you know, the social media is not the friendliest form of media. Hard to believe I'm looking at you guys and saying that, but I put you ahead of them, of the social media. And the only place we're getting information now, because we never see or meet anybody, is through that. So it's good that we're starting to come back. I would encourage everybody to please get vaccinated. Please listen to the best medical people, not the social media experts that are putting garbage out there. And help our students become students. They deserve the same thing you deserve. And that was to, you know, there's academic enhancement, but there's social enhancement. That's part of college. Just learn how to deal with people. The second thing that I'd like to talk about is kind of goes in the same way, and that's our fan base. I thought our students were phenomenal at the game the other night. I did something that I used to do with Mark Hollis, to talk to Alan Heller about it. I rode around all the parking lots. You know, when I was a GA here in my first probably 20 years, there wasn't a game day, Jack, you know this, there wasn't a game day that I didn't jog around the whole campus. It was probably one of the greatest experiences I've had. I'd go there, people would be raising their kids there, they'd be with their neighbors there, their kids would grow up, they'd become Spartan fans because that was the environment they were in. And now, partially because of COVID, partially because maybe people don't do the right things, partially because think administration's got a little paranoid. You know, we have hours on when you can tailgate, you know, and things like that. And I think it's taken the buzz away a little bit. So this weekend, I try to get it back. You know, we kind of shunning away from Midnight Madness, which pains me. But we're going to have a practice. Susie's going to have a practice. Hers at 2, mine's at 3. I'm encouraging people to come just to get our players back to realizing normality. But more importantly, I'm telling you to come and come early and then leave my place, go back to your favorite tailgate, and then get to the damn game early. You can't imagine what that does for recruiting. You can't imagine what it'll do for Mel's group. You don't win championships, you don't win games by yourself. The head coach doesn't do it, the players don't do it. It's a group effort from the president to the AD, to the head coach, to the team. And maybe, as we learned last year, maybe the most important group is our fans, because those fans change the atmosphere of the environment of these different venues to an nth degree. And watching those students and figuring out that we have over 3,000 more students at the football games has been really big. And why am I talking about this on the first day of basketball season practice? Because the vaccination, the getting people back in classes, the getting people back to games, that's as important to me as winning right now. Because I think they all lead to winning. I think they all lead to giving our kids a real chance to be student athletes and enjoy the incredible highs of some of these events. And I want to ride through those lots again, and I want to see them packed. I want to see the little kids. I hope our administration will think about opening them up earlier. So I'm probably really put myself now where I got a lot of people mad at me, and but I'm going to figure out that from here on in my career, I'm going to say and do what I think is right for the majority, not the minority. And the majority of the people should feel so good about where our athletic program is right now. So good where our football program is right now. It's not just winning the 3 games. That game the other night was exciting. It's a beautiful night. It was just fun to be back to some kind of normality. So I say all that, and I believe that Mel and I have talked about the gold standard. You know, the gold standard 13, 14, 15, 16, when, you know, we did something that I don't think any other Big Ten school has ever done, maybe no other schools since Florida, and that's, you know, had their, well, we didn't have a, back in the Florida days, we didn't have it, but our football program in the Final Four, our basketball program in the Final Four, might have been our soccer program that year, or the year before, or the year after in the Final Four. I mean, those are things that are pretty high standards, and that's the gold standard we're trying to get back to. It's going to take everybody to get back to that. It's going to take us all cheering on our teams and spending time with them. And so I hope you take that as a positive. It's not a public address announcement. It's a plea with you to get things back to normal. As far as my team goes, first day, it's an exciting day. It's a little different now because, you know, we get to practice during the summer, 4 hours a week. We got all these rules to handle, but it's been a great summer for us. I'm sure most coaches say that all the time. I just think the weight room was a real interesting place. I say that's a character building place, and I think we built a lot of character. Marcus Bingham would be a great example. He's had a great summer. He's probably only 5 or 7 pounds heavier, but he's probably, there's a bench press they do in the NBA camp where you get 180 and you get it so many times. His first couple of years he was at 0, he was over 10 on that, so he's improved enormously in that area, which I think is going to help him a lot. As I said, we have the scrimmage to be seen. I'm not going to go over every player now. I am opening up practice today. The hell are we doing that for on the first day?
Because you always do.
Because we always do. So get back to normal. Good answer. Yeah, might even open the locker room up. So you guys can go in there and ask them what jerk their coach is today. Perfect way to get things back to normal. But we will have practice open. We'll be down in the big arena. But I am excited for this weekend just so that you can see our team. You know, there's definitely, we're in a better spot now at the point because we have some people that have played the position. It wasn't, again, anybody's fault. I talked to all my guys that have left here, and it's been awesome. But as I stated, nobody deserves more blame than the head coach for putting them around peg in a square hole. Or as I could, during football season, related, I could put a center and a quarterback. Things like that don't work in sports sometimes. And so I look no farther than the guy in the mirror on what I had to do a better job of. We think AJ Hogan has lost 20-some pounds, and he's a lot different player than he was. And Tyson is a true point guard who's been here, been very impressed with our freshmen. All three of them have come in academically, athletically, have been phenomenal. I think we've gotten great improvement out of our wings. Gabe Brown has had a hell of a summer, and both Joey Hauser and Malik Hall have been good, very good in fact. So everybody's very good at drill work and very good at skill work. Now we'll see if they're very good at playing, and some of that will be Saturday, and then we'll move forward. As you know, our schedule's no different than ours. Open with the number 3 team in the country at some polls, and that's Kansas. And it doesn't get any easier. The league will not get any easier. There's a lot of teams in the top 25, and I think 2 or 3 in the top 10. So the league will be very good again. And instead of rambling on the first day that I got my points in, I'll open it up for some questions. No question. Oh, shucks.
Following up real quick on the vaccine thing, have you been able to get your whole team and staff vaccinated, or have you rolled out there from
Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And I say that with great pride, not with arm twisting. You know, I think the mistake that's being made is that damn internet. You know, Twitter. I mean, people put this, I've heard some reasons not to get vaccinated that I look and I say, you guys gotta be kidding me. I mean, come up with a good reason, you know. There's good reason, there's good reason. But some of the reasons I've heard and people selling that to our kids is absurd. And I go with Fauci and the medical people, you know. I really do. And very few medical people aren't there. So my team got fully vaccinated way back. My managers, my secretaries, my janitor, my building's vaccinated. And when it's time to get the booster, I'm sure my group will be vaccinated then too. And it's not because I forced anybody, because this day and age you do that, the lawyer tracking me down. It's because I sold it and I explained what I thought the importances were, and I tried to get the best information I could get for them to make a decision. And I think it was Ron Rivera, they talked about the other day, went from 60% to 90-some% of his team. And the biggest thing is just getting the correct information. And as we know, no sense in starting out the new year without a Twitter commercial. As we know, 50% of the stuff on there is absurd. And yet, I think kids look at that and follow it. And, hey, there might be religious reasons, there might be other reasons. I'm just telling you, if they can stand up for their right, I can stand up for mine. And I beg people to not just get vaccinated, but study it, look at it, and try to figure out what's best for them, and not be afraid of it. You know, people were afraid of a lot of things. So yeah, we're all vaccinated. How's that for a long answer for a short question that I couldn't even hear through that muffled voice of yours?
Did you name team captains?
Yeah, I was gonna close with that, but I'm glad. No. Let's do that ahead. The team captains were picked by our team in the summer. I did something a little different. Sometimes I like to pick them at the beginning of the summer so that they can be captains. But everybody has so many new people now and interchangeable parts that we wanted to go through the season, go through the summer workout, the strength and conditioning program where you really learn about leadership. And they picked Dave Brown and Malik Hall, and they were pretty unanimous picks. And I was proud of my team. I did not intervene at all in that because I think getting back to a player-coach team is going to be very important. As you know, it's been there's been some circumstances in the I'm still never going to forgive Hollis for putting my name and money into a media center. What the hell is that? Now that I see that up there. Jeez. God. Call him for me, would you? But I think that having a player-coach team is important. You know, 2 years ago when Cassius went through all that with his brother and Xavier had his wife delivering their second child, it was just different, you know, and last year everything was different with COVID. So I think this is going to be a very important selection, and hopefully they'll do an incredible job.
I did want to ask you too about a week or 2 weeks ago when you had all the former guys in for however many days, and you saw a lot more of that on social media and the guys practicing with them and all that. How important was that for this team right now? I mean, obviously I know you love having everybody around.
You know, yeah, you do love having it, and I think it was as important for society that, you know, it was sad for you guys because there have been some great interviews. I mean, just having Draymond here is an interview in itself, you know, and but I think we had 12 players back. I think 8 of them were on NBA rosters right now. I think 4 of them are guys like Price and Knicks playing in Europe and things like that, Costello. It was, when I traded for a Big Ten championship, I think I'd take the players. A national championship, I'll take the national championship. It was that high on my list. It was that valuable. It was that much fun. Guys were great. They got to the football game. You know, it was just part of the getting back to normalcy, and you know, getting them back. You know, because there's been 3-4 years here that things have been a little different. So getting them back was not only special, but I think for this team and for those guys to talk and spend time and, you know, work a little bit with those players was priceless. And I'm so appreciative of everybody. And what I was really appreciative of is how much fun they had. Because as most of us know, I turned in my job today to go back with Mariucci and try to get him out of bed for his 8 o'clock class back in the good old days.
Hi, Tom. If you had a game tonight, can you give me a starting lineup?
Larry, you're such a knucklehead. I mean, we haven't had a day of practice. You want me to give you a starting lineup?
And would you press?
And would I press? I'm not pressing, Larry, but I'm going to work on it this year. You know, I don't know what our starting lineup would be, in all honesty. I can give you our top 7 or 8 right now if you want me to do that. And I mean this, you know, Marcus Bingham should and could be a starter. Gabe Brown could and should be a starter. You know, Joey Hauser and Malik Hall are in that group. And I think, you know, 2 of our freshmen have really, you know, come up. Max Christie, of course, I think is a guy that is in that group. And then our 2 point guards in Tyson and AJ. So, you know, there's 7 or 8 that you can mull around. And if you stop by there, if you see the practice today, you might have a different opinion. By the time 2 weeks of practice over, I might have a different opinion. but I do think I think we got a chance to be exciting. We're more athletic. I think we shoot a little better. I think our running game, which was non-existent last year, will get back on track. And I'm excited. I feel healthier than I felt. I just feel better. It's just good to walk the campus, jog the campus every day, and see human beings. And so I don't think it's been hard on you guys. It's been hard on us. It's been hard on everybody. And it's been one of the rare things that is worldwide hard. But everybody does handle the COVID situation. We had guys that would not go into the hotel. When they had it, that was where we quarantined them. Some went home. They just couldn't handle it. Other guys went in there and got 3 meals a day and were happy as hell. So everybody handles it differently. I look back, I think a couple kids handled it very poorly. Not their fault, just it didn't work out well for them. I think other kids handled it better. So now having a semi-clean slate, I think we'll get a better idea on everybody. And so far, love what I've seen, love the camaraderie, the togetherness. We try to do more and more things together as a team, and I think that's helped a lot.
Time for a couple more.
You mentioned all of that group. I mean, there's 3 guys that could be the point guard. What's the difference in you from a year ago to now in finding a point guard versus picking a point guard and having options there, multiple options that can run the offense?
Well, I think you always have options. It's just sometimes they're not as good options, but you always have options. And I think that. As I said, and I don't say this to save a Foster lawyer, which if you ever wondered why I hate Twitter, what I found out at the end of the year, embarrasses me, pains me, frustrates me, and ticks me off. So I hope, if you're a Michigan State fan, the thing I don't like about this day and age, I watch these players getting paid, and now the quarterback Oklahoma, and this guy here, and the guy in Utah, and what people are doing to these people is amazing. And I think we had some of that last year, and I did a very poor job of protecting my guys. Foster, he went through a lot of love, the kid. Talked to him 3-4 times. He's doing well at Davidson. Just talked to Rocket. Him not having a spring, summer, and fall, it just wasn't fair for him. And so all those things. But the abuse that some of those kids took or take and are taking, and you wonder why mental health and issues. Shame on us as a society. Shame on us. So I'm picking all the socials just so I'm going to have a lot of people mad at me right off the bat. Kind of like that. I'm on my back against the wall. But this year, I learned my lesson too. And my lesson is, I got to do a better job. My other lesson is I'm going to back my players even more than normal, because what I read in some of their phones at the end of the year was inhumane and not right. So if somebody wants to throw it at somebody, throw it at me, because I don't read the crap anyway. But don't throw it at them, please. So, yeah, I have some options. AJ grew up. You don't come in here where he was, and he's grown up some. Whether he maintains that now, we'll see. And Tyson, we have a kid who has done a very good job. He's already played the position. Jay Meekins could play a little bit there. We go a couple different ways, but those 2 guys will probably man a lot in that spot. Jaden's done an unbelievable job as a wing, as well as Max, and Pierre's been fine. It's just some people are going to take a little longer than others. So we have some options for you and Larry. The summer was to get guys ready to play and go through drill work, but now you get down to the nitty-gritty, so there'll be a lot to be said in the next 3 weeks.
You think it can be
No, that's all during the right.
it can split time between the 1 and the 2 kind of?
Yeah, I think he could, but I haven't worked with that a lot. I think you could see 2 point guards on the floor at the same time some. You know, the one thing about AJ, he can play the 1, 2, 3, hell, he played 4 in high school, so he's stronger and bigger, you know, he's a linebacker type. And so I think we've got some interchangeable parts.
Number one, hi. Two, how tall is Marcus now? Is he grown? He looks taller.
Let me tell you something. When you're my size, figuring out to be 6'10", 6'11", or 7 feet, I really don't know, and I don't give a damn. I think he's long, I think he's stronger, and maybe most important, his focus this year has been tremendously different. I heard a great, not a good, a great Nick Saban press conference the other day, talking about, you saw it. I mean, that's so hard, you know. If you get better and you play harder and you do the right things, you're going to play. And if you don't, you're not going to play. And, you know, everybody matures at a different level. And I think I had a 2.5-hour staff meeting today about that. How do we do a better job of holding people accountable in this day and age where they might transfer an hour after you talk to them? It's hard. It's difficult. It's what some people wanted. As you know, it's not what I think is best for that player in any way, shape, or form. But Marcus is, I do think he's a solid 7 foot now. So maybe he grew. Maybe we had a UP measuring stick last year. I don't know, but he's long enough. He's tall enough. The difference is now, I think he's getting strong enough, and I think he's learning to play harder at a longer period of time. You know, I don't like using examples of players like Morris, who took till his 4th year that he really excelled, and then his 5th year he became MVP of the league. That's illegal in this day and age to even think of somebody in school that long. But Marcus Bingham has improved a lot, and I think he will keep improving as long as we can keep holding him accountable. And that's going to be the trick. There's going to be a lot of tricks for coaches. You're seeing it in football right now. There's a lot of ups and downs. You're seeing some good programs, you know. What happens if you don't have a quarterback? There's a couple of really, really good programs that have struggled because of maybe lack of that right now. It kind of happened to us last year. But I think you're also seeing the transfer thing and who's settling in, and there's always going to be some good and there's going to be some bad. And what does it do to teams when half the people in the locker room are contemplating this and that? The day I die, I'll never figure out why that's good for anybody. But all we do is work by the rules we did. So I guess I got to close up. One more, then I'll close it
Like
up.
one from Steven.
Yeah, Tom, good to see you. Wanted to ask you, maybe this is a better question for during the season, but a couple months in with your newer sort of relook staff, how's that been going with some new faces and some familiar faces and guys in new roles and all that?
You know, I give Draymond a little credit for that. You know, he has a tendency to yell at me about a lot of things, and probably getting back for when I yelled at him. But you know, we talked about how do we get back some of the way. I'd say the last 4 years, there's been so many things that have gone on here that we've gotten away from the culture that we had. So what better way to do it? Bring back a guy like Monty, who was part of that culture, both as a player and as a, and you know, I hate to say this because it's embarrassing, but sometimes when you're not successful somewhere, people go one of two ways. When you get fired, when you get beat out, you either work harder and you go, or you crash and burn. And I've got a guy that I think has been through a tough time, and he is so appreciative of the opportunity that, in my humble opinion, he's a much better coach now than he was the first time I had him. I don't know if that's a compliment or insult on the first time, but I think it's a compliment both ways. And then we picked up, two guys in Austin Thornton, who came back, was a GA, and then decided to go play in Europe under my encouragement. He was playing so good as a GA that he went over there. came back, coached in high school for a year, decided college is what he wants, so he's a video guy. It's been great for our guys to be around, a little younger. And Cueto, who just, his year ended in the Final Four and beating Duke and all the things that happened that year. And so he too has been great, not only in recruiting when recruits come, but I think for the current players. So now they can hear a little bit from the young, the middle, and the old. It's more maybe complete staff. And I think it's been very smooth. But I think a lot of that starts with me. There's things that were distractions for me too over the last few years that I have to grow up and handle and understand. And there's a lot of memory-making moments ahead in my career, and I plan to get to each and every one of them. And so I'm actually looking forward to it starting. So don't be alarmed by my public address announcements on Twitter or on the vaccine or on, getting to those games earlier. They're self-fulfilling too. I want the same thing for my games or Susie's games. I think what I loved about this place my entire career is it's been a family atmosphere. It's been everybody for everyone. Our teams get along together, whether it's our hockey team, our soccer team, our football team, our basketball team, our women's teams. Our guys go to volleyball games. It's really cool. We got to drag the rest of the people, because when you're off for 2-3 years, and away from it, it's not the norm. And we got to make sure we get back to what's the norm. And the norm is, I hope Saturday night at 6:30, that place is getting packed. I hope that people tailgate all day. And I'm going to make sure that I try to spend time with them. And I hope you get over to the scrimmage only because it's something to do. You'll be able to sit around. I'm sure it won't be 15,000 people, so you'll be safe. And please, I won't beg you to get vaccinated. Please read up on it, not on the internet. Read up on it. Figure it out. Do what's best for yourself, but do what's best for the person next to you. And you can do those things for me. I say that 21-22 is off to a great start. Mel's going to lead the way. We're going to take up the anchor position. Have a hell of a time. It'll be great to see you guys later today. Gals, it'll be great to see you in the future. I'll try to abide by the rules. I've been a mask wearer the whole time. Now I'd like to encourage the vaccine so none of us have to wear masks. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody. Practice at 2:45 in the main gym, and we'll have some real opportunities